Hello. I'm a bit late today because I had to go out and take care of some personal business, but I'm here now. It's about almost 6 o'clock in the afternoon. But I was around the internet like I usually am and noticed a story from Germany. A 25-year-old Afghan asylum seeker who, by the way, had his was denied asylum in the UK, but they just let him go and he gallivanting around the country. They didn't deport him like we've been doing, but just let him roam around the country. Well, he used his car and rammed it into a crowd of civilians. Over 30 were injured, including women and children. No real word on how many were dead, but he'd been in Germany for, I guess, for a while because he was on a terrorist watch list in Germany. Why Why wasn't he put on the first plane out of there, along with the others who are on terror watch lists? I mean, for they're on that watch list for a reason because they've done things in their past that would be considered terrorism. And then I think about, I mean, these guys just walked across the border, and then I got to thinking about our border. Now I don't know what it looks like now. I've From the sounds of it, it's slowed down a lot coming across the Mexican border. But from the way it was under Biden, we had people not just from Mexico or not just from Central America or even just South America. There were Syrians, Palestinians, there were Egyptians, there were all sorts of people from Middle Eastern countries, Muslim countries coming across our border. Just carte blanche. They just walked across and they asked them a couple questions at the border and said, "Okay, here's your court date in 2 years. Make sure you make it." Didn't even check if they were on any sort of watch list. Just let them in the country. In fact, sometimes they gave them buses or plane tickets to wherever they wanted to go. How many of them have bad intentions in mind? Because frankly, it only takes one. I mean, there was just in Germany there was one driver, and he drove in and injured over 30 people. It only takes one to cause a really bad problem. That's why are not not only now our country is sending them back to where they come from. But if we would have had 4 more years of Biden, we'd still have more coming across the border. We got to vet these people. I mean, and yes, I know we have a lot of our own citizens who are mentally unstable and they do terrible things. I know that. So why should we invite more? Why do we want to bring more in? We've already got our own problems with our own citizens. So bring in a whole bunch more? That makes no sense whatsoever. We've the last 4 years, we've had millions of people coming across that southern border. We've had Russians come across the border. We've had Ukrainians come across the border. We've had Syrians, Palestinians, Lebanese. We've had Chinese come across the border. North Koreans come across the southern border. And the whole time, our government was saying, "Oh, the border's secure." Yeah, securely open. And then the left says, "Well, I don't know how we lost the last election because Americans got tired of dying or seeing loved ones dead. That's why you lost the last election. How many how many American citizens have been killed by people that no one vetted? No one, nothing was done when they were coming across the border. And now innocent Americans are dead. I mean, it doesn't take a college education to figure it out. And we've been saying it for years. And then oh, you're just a right wing kook. What do you know? I don't have to know. I can see. Now we've got a man and a cabinet in office that's going to right these injustices. We've been we've been shorted by our government for the last 4 years, even more than that. Out of the last 16 years, we've had 4 years where someone was in office that actually cared about what how the American people felt. But for 12 out of 16 years, we've had a government that's just said, you know, what you think doesn't matter. You you don't know you don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about what I'm seeing. I'm talking about what I'm experiencing. And it's way different than what you're talking about. The American people have been cheated for 12 out of 16 years because they had a government that, number one, didn't care about them, but actually took advantage of and defrauded them. We're finding that now with the Doge is finding where Americans have been defrauded. We've been cheated by our own government. Frankly, I don't know how long the Democrat Party can even exist because they're doubling down on their record. If I had a record like the Democrat Party has over the last 16 years, I'd find another game. I'd look into another sport because your record says you suck. And the European countries, a lot of them are just put their hands in the air and say, I don't know what to do. Starmer in Britain, it's even he's blaming Trump, and he's in a European country. Trump is Trump has been the bad guy for, well, ever since he walked down that staircase in New York City the first time, and we have Trump derangement syndrome. It's it's the failing of, well, number one, the Democrat Party, but we've had plenty of Republicans that have locked arms with them. Now we have someone in office that actually cares, and now they're hell bent on proving him to be a menace to society. No, he's trying his hardest to fix it so that people don't have to live in fear. It's even Australia is seeing it. I mean, they've had an influx of Muslims, just like, in fact, just a few days ago on TikTok, two members of their healthcare service providing healthcare for people were outed as being Muslim extremists. They were on there and they talked to another healthcare provider in Israel. Well, those two were the ones in Australia were Muslim, and they flat out said, if I had, you know, the Israeli was saying, if you had if you had a Jew come into your hospital and needed medical assistance, what would you do? And they said, we'd let him die. We'd kill him. Hippocratic oath says do no harm, but these two are going to kill him. I don't think there's any more harmful that you can get. Now these two, they weren't didn't quite have all their mental faculties together, but because of course they were fired. But how many have come there? How many more feel the way these two did? So it's not just America that's dealing with it, but we got to be aware of it. Because it's gone way beyond being worrisome. It's almost scary what we've let ourselves be led into. And it seemed like the whole world was doing it all at the same time. America made America was founded on people coming here from other countries and adding to the melting pot or the soup pot, adding something, not changing it, just adding something. And we have a we have a legal way to come to our country, and if you come to our country, you have to become part of the country, the part of what we are. Adding your little bit to it, but with the illegal immigration, they don't come here wanting to add anything. They just want to take. Like I said, I've had experiences where, one person, you know, sometimes they married an American and were brought over here from another country. Well, pretty soon you got the whole slam damn family coming. And the first thing they do is go on welfare. I even saw one case where they brought the new bride brought her mom and dad over. Well, they were at retirement age. So they got Social Security, never paid into it. That was the whole idea behind it. It was only supposed to be temporary to get us through the Great Depression, which was another Democrat monstrosity. It should have only lasted 6 months, and then the markets would have corrected. But FDR had to get a bunch of stuff rushed through Congress, so it ended up extending out to cover a whole decade. All sorts of government programs to get people dependent on the government. That's where you got your Social Security. That's where you got your your Medicaid, Medicare. It was all Democrats trying to get control of people. We're paying for this, so you got to do this. You got to do exactly what we tell you to do. But the whole idea behind Social Security was you pay in, and when you retire, you get this much each month. Of course, back then, you know, the life expectancy was only to 55, 60. You were expected to be dead you know, before the money ran out. We didn't expect to have today where people are living to be up in their upper 80s, and it's getting higher. I think there's more centurions alive now than there have ever been. And a centurion is someone that's lived 100 years. I mean, even my own grandmother lived to be 90, 96. But we encourage these people to risk coming across the border. We've encouraged it. And now we're starting to get the blood end of that stick. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I, for one, don't like it. I'm liking Trump's America First policy a lot better than I like what we've had so far. And I've told you my views on Doge and everything that's going on. Today he had RFK Jr. was sworn in as head of Department of Youth and Health and Human Services. I think he'll do a good job at it. I don't necessarily agree with him on the environment and all that stuff, but that's not what his job is. He's in charge of making sure our drugs are safe, our vaccines are safe. Which COVID proved that we need to take a deep look into that too. And I like the concept behind Doge. There's a lot of spending that our government's doing that should not be. Now we got Tulsi Gabbard was the head of the DNI, or apparently they're going to be voting on it. I hope she makes it. She'll be a refreshing turnaround. Pete Hegseth doing great. The defense turning that boat right around. I'm encouraged. I can honestly say I would encourage my children and grandchildren to go in the military again, which I told you was a stick. It was a tough thing for me to do, to wrap my head around the fact that no, I don't want my kids under this commander in chief. Next election, commander in chief will change again. But the last one we had, woefully incompetent, dangerously incompetent. And the whole training regime was very skeptical. They weren't allowing our soldiers to train to defend the country. They were, diversity is our strength. No, unity is our strength. We still have to keep an eye on our southern border because, like I said, next the next the next election could turn it all around again, which is one of the bad things about our system of government. Because you may go into the presidency and do worlds of good, but the next person that gets in there could burn it all up. That's where it's up to the individual citizens to think before they cast their ballot. Being a citizen is not, it's not just, live your life and go along to get along. You got to be watchful too. Every American citizen should be watchful of what their government is doing. That's your responsibility as a citizen. Is to, yes, you elect these people, but don't expect them to do everything you want, because they're just as flawed as you are. Well, that's what I see of the world from my perch. If you like what you heard, give me a thumbs up. If you feel so inclined, subscribe. I could always use that. I'm on YouTube and Rumble. I'm yet to see what's going to happen with TikTok. I'm just leaving that on the back burner because I don't know what's going to come of that yet. But I'd appreciate your support and give me comments. Tell me what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear. Well, I don't really care what you don't want to hear. You probably will hear it. But, send me comments. Send me advice. I'm open to it all. But until the next one, I guess I'll just let you go and Semper Fi.